Hi coaches and sports stars, Pete Fitzgerald here with Coaches on the Couch. I have the pleasure of Shara Romer, the first female boxing coach. She's actually the assistant coach for the Commonwealth Games coming up for the girls boxing team. She's the current Australian coach, the Queensland coach, also the QAS program, which is Prospecting for Gold program, which is all with the boxing. It brings a lot of new stories, and it's great to have the first female coach in boxing here to sit on the couch and provide her insight for you, coaches and sports stars, and especially for the ladies. Shara, thank you very much for joining me. Why boxing, of all places?
I started when I was younger. I did a bit of martial arts and enjoyed that. As I got older, I worked into playing softball at a state level and quite competitive. I then started my apprenticeship, so sport went on the back burner a little bit. Started playing soccer, hurt my knee, and said, well, I've still got to keep in shape. I meet like-minded people in sport, and so I came to boxing.
Yeah, and then we're at the boxing shop here in Nathan in Brisbane. So we have the great surround. So if you see me sweating, I'm actually in the gym. There's not much circulation going on here, so bear with us on that side. So it's great that you've got there. Now, how did you get involved with the Australian team, and how did you get involved in the coaching?
So I started off actually training just for fitness, and like anyone, I never get in the ring, or I don't want to be hit and all of that. And then slowly got fitter, and then started sort of saying, oh, maybe I'll give it a go. So I had a couple of fights, had my kids. The demand on the training regime was just too much with the training and running the business. And I said, look, I'll get into coaching, and started from there.
And running the business, you talk running the
boxing shop.
Boxing shop, yep. And so getting you into the coaching, how did that, was it ladies you wanted to coach, or was it men, or both? And how did you end up coaching women and taking to that step of the Australian coach?
At the time, it was anyone.
Anyone wanted a woman as a coach?
Yeah. I started taking the women's fitness class, working with our junior program in the kids, and they're mixed. They're not just women, not just children, girls.
Yep.
So I did that and just developed from there.
Cool. So with that side of it now, obviously running a business and working here, how did you find it as a coach starting out? That the guys taking you serious of what you knew and all that? Like, did you do anything particular to create that leadership where people started taking you seriously and then developing out of that? Is there anything there you can part?
At the start, I think it was everyone was a little bit, oh, what's going on? You don't know what you're doing, and I just had to back myself in what I knew and what I was learning from all different coaches. It wasn't until I started representing the state and the Australia that I started getting a little bit more respect, I think, in that way, in that sense.
As I said, success leads clues, so that sort of helped you on that one, because then people, oh, hang on, she's done this and it's got you on that one. So how did you end up as now the assistant coach for the Commonwealth Games team? A
lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices, determination, and the never say die attitude of, you know what, I can do this.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not some women's fortes, but it was just mine, and I knew, you know what, I can do it. And grabbed it by the throat and just went with it.
And when we had a chat earlier, we talked about the differences between the men and the women. How have you found, obviously, from watching Gareth train with the boys and the girls, and then you sort of taking over, and now you work just primarily with them, what is the difference between the boxing fundamentals, and why can you relate, I suppose, being female? So what is the difference between the two, and why is it you can train the girls a lot more efficiently than, say, what Gareth did, because he had to switch between both?
I think it's the whys, like we said earlier. Well, why am I doing this?
Yep.
I think it's the mood swings.
Well,
yeah, I think it's a few things rolled into one, and I don't blame him. Like, yep. I trained under him for a while, and I was the why person. So why do we do that? And I just go, well, because you have to. That's the way you do it. And I think the women process it a little bit differently. They need to understand why they're actually doing it. You don't just do it, whereas the men can just do it. I think because I ask the question on my athletes, they ask the question on me, and I don't mind. I'm open to communication.
Well, being a hairdresser, you
Yeah.
do love a chat.
Yeah.
Being a past hairdresser and so forth. So, what philosophies that or traits that you got out of your previous sports that now that you take into your coaching that you impart on your athletes?
I think we got to look at accountability and responsibility. If there's no responsibility or accountability on the athlete's behalf, then why am I standing doing this with you? It's I can have anyone walk through the door and coach them, but if you want to be someone, you have to be here wholly and solely. And boxing's a hard sport to just do socially as well, because you have to be so fit and it is so demanding. I think too the hard work when you walk through the door, it's switching that button on and going, right, it's time to work. And I'm not saying that we can't have a laugh here and there, but it's being able to focus while you're in here for the whole time.
And with the ladies, you probably mentioned a good thing there as well. It can be character building. How has boxing changed, I suppose, the female community, what you've seen them come in?
I think it's changed females in respect that they know their body holistically. They can understand what they can and can't do.
Yep.
I mean, there's things in here that a woman can do and a man can't, and vice versa.
Yep.
And knowing those boundaries, sometimes you want to push those boundaries and get past it. But it's also being able to be a woman in this environment, in a male-dominated sport, and that takes a lot in the first place to be able to do that. So, yeah.
I understand. And you mentioned previously about sacrifices. You've had to make some sacrifices with the kids and so forth. So any coaches or sports stars that are coming through, how do you deal with sacrifices, or what did you sort of sacrifice to get to that level? Because anything we want in life, you've got to sacrifice somewhere. It doesn't matter what it is. And it could be, if you don't want success, you're sacrificing there to sit on the couch. There's always sacrifices you've got to make, and it just depends. How do you deal with it from yours, and how you help build your girls and the teams up?
I think leading by example for the girls in this gym, they've seen me and what I sacrificed being a mother of two. I think it's easy to sit on the couch and have a crack at someone who's out there giving it a go, but the person on the couch is too scared to have a go. So I hold my hand up there. I was willing and wanting to get out there and throw myself amongst it, sink or swim, and going out to overseas camps where no one speaks English and putting yourself out there, listening to other coaches from like Russia and China and places like that. It was hard, but it was also so interesting for me to be there.
And the great point I picked up from earlier is, when we're having a chat, is that you're showing leadership to your kids in regards to, you're still giving them the time, but you're also showing them how to lead by example in certain aspects of your life. So, the sacrifice you had, but tell us a little bit more about that and how you're with your purpose and your why.
I struggled for a long time there with the sacrifice that I was making with my children. I was quite torn, and my parents came from an old school saying, mothers should always be with their kids. And this is when they were 2 and 3, and I struggled for a very long time. And then I went, you know what? If I don't do this, I'll never forgive myself. And that's not putting me first. I always made sure when I went away, I rang my children. I was always there. Any school, running a business, when they've got things on school, I can always go there when I'm here. But my why was because I need something in my life to complete. I'm a person that, I'll complete this and then it's the next thing. I've always driven for a next goal. And and that with my kids seeing that, that's how I want them to grow up as well.
So they've got something to retain and something to
Yeah.
move forward towards, which sort of comes back to, what's the best advice you've been given? Because I'm hearing that and sort of going, well, obviously there's been some advices either for coaches or parents or something like that in regards to wanting you to fulfil more out of life and be an example to your kids.
I think it came from my father. I at the age of 3, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So my father was always saying to me, that's not going to hold you back. You're still the same. You can do anything. And it still rings in my ear. And now it's only at this age I start to think, what? He was telling me that. He was right.
Takes a while.
Yeah, yeah.
Slap the head of it. Takes a few slaps before we understand. Yeah.
But what he also said to me later on, when probably about 5 years ago, he said, "What you've got to remember is where you've come from and what goals you've already achieved."
Yep.
He said, "If you're always trying to chase a dream and you're not quite there, you'll never be happy." So he said, take those small steps. Acknowledge them and be in the moment, and you'll always be happy.
So celebrating your wins and then also learning, then going after the new ones after that.
Yeah.
Great pieces of advice there in regards. So it's giving you the drivers that you can be. It comes back to self-belief.
Yes.
Which we talked about before. So are they? What are the big motivators that you have for you install with the athletes, especially the ones that are coming in off the street, that are new to it, either being bullied, that sort of stuff? What are the things that you can impart to them to sort of start taking those steps now to get them to, if it's not here but somewhere else, to start empowering themselves?
I always say to the kids that just be yourself. Like when they're in here,
Yep.
when you're in here, there's no boundaries. There's lines in the sand, and if you cross that line, then that's when you're in trouble. Whether it's the bully or whether it's the one being bullied.
Yep.
Because I think we put too much stigma on our kids to be someone, or
Yep.
or you are someone at the age of 10.
Yeah.
And I think that forms this sort of huge ego in a child, and that's where the bullying starts to come from.
Yep.
But it's just enjoying life and enjoying what you do in your sport. And when you come in here, you don't have to hold back from anyone. You can be you.
And that's probably the great part about it, is that learning to be oneself. You talked about the holistic approach before, and it's something that a lot of us are sort of working to, especially with sport and just outside, because it's not about sport and work. It's all about having a life balance, and then it creates also, it's understanding oneself and self-preparation. Can you allude a little bit more about that for the girls and the women coaches out there, or all coaches in regards to that?
Well, I think when you say self-belief and balance, they go hand in hand. There's no point in having all the self-belief in the world, but then you're not working hard enough, you're not putting in at home, you're not putting in at work, or you're not putting in at school.
Yep.
Everything comes hand in hand, and I believe that what you put out, you'll get back in.
Great.
If you believe, and then you have the actions of a person that believes, and not think bad, and always want to be a positive person, you reap the rewards from that. And that's what I say to the girls, and that's what I'd probably say to any other coach is, you know what, don't be the hater, or the athlete, don't be the hater, be the doer, be the believer, be the positive person, and the whole sport will lift then altogether.
And that's probably a great point there, is it's creating a different look at the sport itself, because it's changed a lot of lives for the better, and it's not for the worse. I know some media portray it differently, but when you look at some of the aspects, the character building, the leadership, that was one area there that I suppose we touched on, when we spoke earlier. Leadership, you've talked about there, is about leading by example to your kids. And is there any process with in your training techniques that you work with the girls, where how are you imparting leadership into them?
They've got to be responsible for what they do, like I said, and accountable.
Yep.
that you're either a born leader, which is natural, we can develop skills to be a leader.
Yep.
When I've got the girls, I want them to take control of what they're doing when they're
Yep.
boxing. I'm just the person that leads them to the water. They
Yep.
have to drink it. And that's the thing. If they don't take control of what they're doing and lead by example
Yep.
or lead in their own life, then they're going to be the one that just sits back and is happy to take second all the time.
Cool. I understand. And that's the thing is that you look at it, taking second, some people are just sitting back and then they're pointing a lot of fingers, but as they say, is one finger points out, the three are always pointing
That's
back.
right.
And it's making those things. It's great to hear that you're creating leadership within the women, and which is going out in the community, which then transfers across the gym itself. I know speaking with Gareth and yourself, coming in here, everyone's on the same playing path, so there is no him or her or they're elite and they're amateur, which is a completely different ballgame. Everyone comes in and you've created that culture, which is the big thing of today, of learning businesses and at home. It's creating the culture where it's an environment where people want to be at, which then makes it a purpose of why people come to the gym.
That's correct. On any level, when you've got a gym and a business like this, you have to create the feeling of belonging.
Yep.
Like a second home. I always say this is my second home, and the people that walk through the doors, they're like family, because I know so much about them.
Yep.
And that's part of being a good coach too. You take on board the good and the bad that you have to hear, and you work with it, and you talk through it with them, and you help them in life as just as much as you do in sport.
Great sort of insights there. We're going to finish off with two little ones. I'm going to throw a curveball to you. 3 people in history you would like to sit down and have dinner with and pick their brains out.
Well, the first one you're going to laugh at, but it'd have to be Mahatma Gandhi.
I don't know, like he's created a lot of spiritual aspects, especially for India. Haven't travelled India.
Yep.
Yep.
It just purely the heart of the bloke, what he's done and what he's created, and the simplicity in how he's done it.
Yeah.
Would be fascinating to sit down and have a chat with him about it.
Beautiful. That's number 1, Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah,
Number
Mahatma
2?
Gandhi. Number 2, I'd be looking at the Robin Williams.
Yeah.
That guy, I mean, like I said before, he jumps from a serious character to a character that makes you laugh to a subdued character to anything, and all while he had a lot of struggles on his side and still could switch on and go, right, I'm on, let's go. I think he'd be interesting just to see how he portrayed everything and question him how he dealt with everything.
Yeah, and he gave a lot to it. Like he wanted to entertain others. Even though we hear stories like he wasn't happy within, but he was great to give happiness to everybody else.
That's correct. Yeah. So my third one would be from a cricket background. I grew up with a lot of cricket in my life. Would have to be Viv Richards.
Sir Richard.
Oh, Sir Viv Richards. Yeah. I still remember, the summers lying down watching the TV with all my brothers and my dad and my sisters, and just still remember the charisma of Sir Viv Richards, and just knowing and watching him gel a team together and putting a team, together like that is not easy when you've got many different personalities. So he would be great just to pick his brain about how he built a structure and what he stuck to and what he believed in.
And come down to self-belief. He had a lot of it, and he had the charisma that went with it. He understood who he was, and the 3 people you've picked, pretty much, they've given so much to this, or their traits, I suppose. There's areas, Mahatma Gandhi with his, Robin Williams in the acting, and you've got cricket with Viv, who still comes out now. I remember back in the days when they had the World Series, but they had a World 11 team come out. Growing up in Orange, they had like Joel Garner, Viv Richards, Tony Gregg, and all that. They come to Orange, and we've done a cricket camp with them. So it's when you sort of that. He was one of my idols growing up. It's considered in Australia, but he was one of the ones because he had that flow and charisma, and that's where you sort of wanted. So when I was batting, you sort of wanted to sort of attain that side of things. Shara, so now we come to the end of your career. How do you want to be remembered? What do you want to look back on as an achievement? What do you want to be remembered for?
I think I want to be remembered for being the first female to actually stand up and make something work in a male-dominated sport, especially like boxing. It's not easy.
Yep.
Just in people saying, you know what, that lady actually helped me. You know,
Helping others. Yeah.
whether it's at a national level, whether it's at a state level, or whether it's a child that's walked in off the street that have dealt with for 4 years, I'd like for them to turn around and say, she turned my life around. She made me see things differently and made it for the better.
Yep. Great. For everyone out there, Shara, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
have the pleasure of interviewing the first female boxing coach for Australian boxing. It was off to the Commonwealth Games. All the best with that.
Thank
You've
you.
got 5 girls there,
Yep.
so we're all the best for that. And I think it's going to give it a little bit more exposure to it. And so for everyone, the sports coaches and our sports stars, make sure you're getting tips out of this. Now, you young ladies that are looking to step out, or you're getting bullied, please, especially in Brisbane, research it a little bit more. If you're not in Brisbane, there could be others that you can be directed to that can help you out, because it's all about empowering self, and then you'll be able to deal with the outside external influences, as they call it. You deal with the self, and the external influences will deal with themselves at the same time. So for the coaches on the couch, thank you, Shara.
Thank you.
Until our next one, game on, my friends.